Do a review on Likutei Sichos in Chelek Chov, volume 20. This is the second Sicha for the Parshas Vayishlach. And the Rebbe discusses the pasuk that Yaakov told Esav Harosha. He said to him, "I will go. You go quickly, and I will take my time until I will come to you to Seir." But then Yaakov never ended up traveling there. Yaakov traveled to Sukkoisa. Seems like Yaakov was lying. So what exactly happened over here? So there is the way the Gemara seems to explain that if it's a case of danger, so you can lie. Rashi seems to say that he didn't lie. The Rashi in the Gemara, the Rebbe will sort out all the various different uh, explanations, the way it comes out, and to put everything in order, and also the Rambam, a long, detailed sikha, and we'll go step by step. Aleph. Isa b'Mishnah in Mesachas Avodah Zorah. So the Mishnah in Tractate Avodah Zorah, the Mishnah brings down a halacha, but before the Rebbe is going to get into this details of the halacha, the halacha talks about the dangers of the nations of being alone with them because they might kill you, that it doesn't really apply in our days. So we're not really talking about something that we should assume that today it applies. This was talking about the goyim, in those days, who were suspected of murder. So therefore, that's the beginning that the Rebbe makes the declaration that this does not apply to the present goyim. So the Mishnah in Masechta Avodah Zorah nevertheless says, "As lo yisyachid odom imohem." Person should not be alone with them. Them is mitan nochri shalifnei zeh Mishnah. The Mishnah before was talking about a nochri, a non-Jew, and then the Mishnah says, "Don't be alone with them." Who's the with them? Referring to what we've learned before about the nochri. And the Mishnah says, "Mipnei shechashudim al shifichus domim." They are suspected to pour blood. They might kill you. If you're alone with them, they might kill you. So therefore, don't be alone with them. The Rebbe brings down right away at the beginning a disclaimer that v'yadua bepoiskim. It's known in the codifiers as dosis be'umois hakedumis. This applies to the earlier nation. Aber bisman hazeh, however, nowadays, seinen Nochrim nit choshud of them. The Nochrim, the Goyim, are not suspected on this v'adrabe chula, and on the contrary. So there doesn't really apply nowadays. Okay, so how does it mean the Mishnah that it says that don't? So then the Gemara articulates, don't be alone. So what do you do? So the Mishnah, the Gemara explains. The Gemara is mevayir umefarit in them. So the Gemara explains and details. Yisrael shen izdamen loy nochri baderech. A yid who happened to come across a guy on the road. So you say toifloi liyimine. So then you put him sort of to the right side, the push him away to the side, basically. Basically, to have the goy by your right hand, the dominant, stronger hand of the yid. So keep him to your right hand. So in case you need to defend yourself. Und danach is the Gemara mamshich, and then after this, the Gemara continues. The Gemara says that Shaloi leheichin hoylech. If he asks you where are you going, if the guy that Nizdamenloy that came happened to chance on meeting him, ask you where you're going, Yarchiv lo yasaderech, you should widen for him the way, and that would be Kederech she'osu Yaakov Avinu le'Esav, similar to what our father Yaakov did to Esau, Harosha. To Esau Niksiv. Over there, the pasuk states, as Yaakov says to him, "You go ad asher avoy el adoni seiro." Until I will come to my master to Seir. So basically, he told him that he's going further. He told him that he's gonna go to Seir, but then he never came there. Uksiv Vayakiv Nosa Sukoisa. Yaakov traveled to Sukkot. He never went to Seir. So you see that when somebody's asking you where to go, you tell them a further distance, and then you can not go there and you turn off at a previous place. Rashi is Mefarish the Gemara. So Rashi explains the Gemara that you should do just as Yaakov did, what it means. As the derech she'osa Yaakov meant, what does it mean that the way that Yaakov did it, what does it mean? As erot Esav und Gizok mipnei sakonas nefoshes. That he said to Esav because of danger. This was sakonas nefoshes. Azach was his nid given azoy. Because his life was in danger, so Hitaka told him something which was a lie, which was not true. It was not so. He told him, what he told him, I am going to come to you, to my master, to Seir. But what happened in reality is he traveled to Sukkot. So he basically lied to him because of what? But it was his life was in danger. Pikuach nefesh, sakonas nefesh, so he lied to him. V'lo holach ad Seir. And he did not really go to Seir. He just went to Sukkot. Therefore, so from this we learn a halacha for every Jew. As b'shas anochri frektim leichin hoylach. When a nochri asks you, where are you going to? You have to tell him the non-correct, the not right place. Rashi explains. What does it mean? Yarchiv lo yesaderach. Im hoya tzorich loy leilach ad parsa. If he needs to go one parsa, the measure of a parsa. Yomer loy, he should say to the guy, base parsos. I need to go two parsos. I need tzorich leilach. He should lie to him and tell him two parsos, a longer way, a longer stretch than he really has to go. He only has to go one parsa, but he tells the guy, the Nochri, that I'm going two parsos. I need to go. And by saying that, Ula Yamtin HaNochri Milahakoisoi, perhaps that you're telling him two parsos, the Nochri can wait from beating him ad parsa shniya until the second parsa. He says, I still have a chance to hurt the Jew later on. I don't have to do it immediately. But in the meantime, the Yid will separate from the Goy before that, without the Goy noticing. He would stop and turn away before that. And then the Goy will think that he's still going on. He won't bother him. That's what Rashi says that we learn from this halach. According to here, is quite clear, the way Rashi learns and the Gemara learns over here, that this is something which you're saying, something not true to the Goy, and the reason why you can do that is because it's pikuach nefesh, sakonas nefoshes. But in the Medrash says no. In the Medrash it says that he was actually didn't lie to him because he's going to go to him. He didn't go there right now, but he's still going to go to him. In Medrash Aber, from Posig ad asher ovay eladeini seira, on the verse until I come to my master to Seir state. So within the Medrash it says that chazarnu al kol hamikra. We searched, we reviewed the entire Chumash. We didn't find Shaholach Yaakov Avinu Eitzel Esav, that our father Yaakov went to Esav Lahar Seir, to Mount Seir Miyamav. He told him, I'm going to come to Seir, but I looked in all the Chumash, we looked through the Chumash, and we didn't see anywhere Yaakov coming to Seir. And the Medrash asks, Efsher Yaakov Amiti Hoyo Mirim Aboy. Could Yaakov be a truthful one, and yet there was deceit in him? He's saying not true to Esau. Elo, A Mosai Hoyahu Ba Etzloi Laosilovei. But when will he come to him? In the future to come, meaning that it's not deceit because he is going to come there. Hadohu Diksiv, that's why the Pasuk says, where do we see that Yaakov is going to come to Esav, Laosiv Love in the future to come? Olu Moishim Baharatzion, and they will go up, those who are saved, go up to Mount Zion, Lishpeit es had Esav, to do judgment and justice with the Mount Esav. The Yidden will go and to do justice with them for everything that they did. So the Yidden will go to Har Esav, they will go to Seir. But what do we see here? That this Medrash seems to say that he did not lie to him. He is actually going to go. From them Medrash, that meant, from this Medrash we see, as Yaakov hot melechatchila gezokt azach, to begin with, Yaakov said something, was he's in ganzen emes, which is entirely true. He didn't say, because the Medrash says, could it possibly be that Yaakov would not say the truth? That means it was truthful. What was the truth? That he said he's going to come, he's going to come. But it doesn't, it didn't happen now. Was the farfreg der Medrash? That's why the Medrash asks, why does the Medrash ask, since Yaakov was a truthful one, and we don't find that he ever went to Har Seir Miyamov? And the answer is to that, he did go, Hado Diksi, because the Pasuk says, so therefore, the Rebbe says that we see clearly from the Medrash, that the Medrash learns that this was not even a lie, it wasn't a mirma, it wasn't a deceit, because it's true what he said to him. But according to Rashi in the Gemara seems to say clearly that this was a sakonas nefasha, so therefore he lied to him. So the Rebbe is going to bring down now in those pages the Rashi in the Chumash, in which we will see that Rashi combines both of these pirushim of the Gemara and of the Medrash together, and as the Rebbe will continue now. Ois base. The Pashtus lernt man that when you learn it on the simple level, as der Pirush from Medrash and der Pirush from Gemara, that the commentary of the Medrash and the commentary of the Gemara Hanal, seinen Deus Chalukas, these are opinions that disagree, differing opinions. L'das HaGemara, according to the Gemara's view, hot Yaakov gizen sakonas nefoshes mitzad Esavon. He saw that his life was in danger because of Esav. Und der Riber hat Yaakov ihm gedarft sagen, and therefore Yaakov needed to tell him, as hat es nicht gehabt bedehe, gedarft sagen, as geht kein Seir. He had to tell him that he's going to Seir. Chotch as hat es nicht gehabt bedehe zu tun, even though he didn't have in mind to go to Seir, he had to tell him that he's going to Seir because life was in danger. He had to tell him something not true, basically. Masha'enkin leuten. A Medrash, but as opposed to, according to the Medrash, hat Yaakov nit meure gehabt von Esav. Yaakov did not fear Esav. Aber Meile is nit given kein Sibbe, soll darfen marchiv sein haderech. He had no reason to need to widen the road for Esav. He wasn't afraid of him. And therefore, but they didn't have to tell him as a gate king sayer that he's going. So why did he tell him that he's going to say it? On the Riber darf man sagen, that's why we need to say. So what did he mean that I'm going to come to my master to say it? As it had gemeint, lost it, love it, that he meant the future to come. He's going to come. But the interesting thing that Rebbe points out now, that Rashi in Chumash combines these two Perushim. Here we're seemingly that these are contradictory Perushim. According to the Gemara, he felt in danger and therefore he needed to get away from the danger by telling him a longer route that he's going to come to Seir. And according to the Medrash, it seems like he wasn't afraid of him. So why did he tell him? He told him the truth because in the future he'll come there. But as Rashi b'Pirush Allah Torah, we find, however, that Rashi in his commentary of the Torah from Posik on the verse Ad Asher Ovel Adoni Seira till I'll come to my masters to Seir is Mechaber Bei the Pirushim. He combines both commentaries. Hirchiv loy haderech, Rashi says he widened for him the road. Shaloi hoya daite leleches ela atzukas. That clearly he didn't have in mind to go to Seir. He only had in mind to go to Sukkot. And the reason he did it, because Omar, he said, why did he tell him another that going to Seir, even though he only was going to go, had in mind to go to Sukkot? Omar, he said, in Daitoy Lasis Liro, Yamtin ad Boyi Etzloi. So if he has in mind to do bad to me, let him wait until I come to him. And he didn't go. So that seems to say, exactly like the Gemara, that because he felt danger, so he said if he wants to hurt me, let him wait. And he didn't go. But Rashi continues immediately. When will he go? B'mei HaMashiach, in the days of Mashiach. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, they will go up the Mount Sion to Lishbet Har Esov, like the Medrashas. Thus, hey, so what did we see from this? That even according to the interpretation of the Gemara, Yaakov what need gehad b'deya to gain King Seir. That Yaakov did not have in mind to go to Seir. And the reason why he told him that he's going to Seir is kidei laharchiv loy haderech, in order to widen the way, as a result, im niton kinro, so that he shouldn't do anything bad to him. That's what Rashi starts off with the Pirush of Gemara, to tell him that to go further, so that if he wants to do Ra, he shouldn't do it. That stimmt mit dem was the Medrash sagt. This still fits with that what the Medrash says. Avs Yaakov's Werter seine mit Metzias. That's still what Yaakov says is still the facts. It is still factual. Yelech b'mei HaMashiach, he will go in the days of Mashiach. As la'osid lovei v'terkum and Seir, that in the future to come, he will come to Seir. So that is also actually factual. And it's not a contradiction. First, it says that he told him a further place in order that if he wants to do bad to him, he will not be able to because he'll turn away before. And then the Rashi says that he said the truth because in the future will come to say it. Isn't it Muma? So it's not understood. Rashi learned over here in his commentary on the Torah. As Yaakov had gesagt emes, that Yaakov said the truth. Und allein is befarish b'Gemara, and he himself, Rashi himself, says in the Gemara, as von hirchiv loy es haderech, that the fact that when it's the fact that hirchiv loy es haderech by Yaakov, this that he told Esav Seir and he only went to Sukkah, so here was derech by Yaakov. Learned men the race. We learn from this Asmen Zol Zog not over Sheinai Miti, that you should say something which is not true. That's what Rashi says. Rashi doesn't say in the Gemara that he did come. Rashi says bepashtus that a person should lie, should say something which is not true. In order to save himself from anochri. So here in the Chumash, Rashi seems to say, even though Hichel is Haderech, but he still didn't lie to him because he's going to get there. So how come in the Gemara, when Rashi explains the Gemara Hichel is Haderech, Rashi says, from here we learn that a person should say something which is not true. This was true. The Rashi in Chumash says, even though Hichel is Haderech, he said something true, but how can we learn from this Gemara that a person should say something which is not true? So basically, what the Rebbe is asking, since Rashi in Chumash learns that notwithstanding the fact that Yaakov was afraid and he told him a longer way, which he hadn't had in mind, uh, that, and still Rashi says, but he still said the truth because he will eventually come to Seir, as Rashi said. So why does Rashi learn in the Gemara that from here we learn you should say something not true? How do we know? Over here, Yaakov said the truth because he came later on. But just to say an outright thing which is not true, which will never take place, that's not something which we know from the case of Yaakov because it did come true, as Rashi says in the Chumash. Mefarshim learn that as Choch melernt es arois from Yaakov, although we learned it from Yaakov, and by Yaakov it wasn't the end truth, but Yaakov was on a category by himself. He was a truthful person. Is aber bald as Yaakov is midose midas emes. Since Yaakov's measure is a measure of truth, vider medrash anal is matgish, as the above quoted medrash emphasizes, Yaakov amiti hoyu, specifically, Yaakov was a man of truth. Is euch wenn hat gesagt loshen. So even for him to say such a language was Esav hat verstanden, anders wie der Metzias der noch, that Esav understood it to be different than what happened later on. Because Esav understood when he says, I'm coming to Seir, that means imminently after this. So the fact that he's going to come later on may be truthful for him, but it's deceptive to Esav. So Yaakov, who was a truthful person, how could he say something deceptive? So somebody like Esav was verstanden, anders wie die Metzias der noch, is aber der Dibur given an emissar. So Yaakov, therefore, even though he misunderstood, but we need the words exactly, they should be truth in themselves. But as opposed to other Yidden, was seinen nicht b'dargosu shel Yaakov. They are not on the level of Yaakov. They could say something which is not true because of danger. It doesn't have to be like by Yaakov that he did end up going. That's just because he was on a higher madrega, that he was a ish emes. So him, it couldn't be even deceptive. But by Ol Yidden, we learn that you could say something which is not true when you fear for your life, when you're in danger. So here it turns out that what happened by Yaakov is not really what we're learning out for all people. By Yaakov, in the end, it wasn't deceptive. Because he ended up going. By Yid, we're saying that he can say something which is not true, clearly not true, in order to save himself. But to say in the Gemara, to fit in that this is just like Yaakov, it's not the same. That's hard to explain. This is hard, difficult to learn as this, because the Lashon Gemara is the language the Gemara uses is Yarchiv lo yasaderech. He should widen the way kederech she also Yaakov. He should widen the way, telephone, just like Yaakov did. As the Yarchiv lo yasaderech by Kol Odom, the widening the way by all people, is the Zelba derech for Yaakov. And it's the same road as Yaakov did. So since by Yaakov it wasn't really a non-truth, he actually came to Seir. So how, from where could we learn how to be lenient to say an outright untruth matter, which is not even going to happen factual later on, Because by Yaakov it was factual, because at the end he came to Seir. Uh, so how could the Gemara say Kederech Shasa Yaakov? Every person should do that. Yaakov didn't do something which was not factually true. And here we're telling the person, if you feel in danger, the Gemara says, tell the guy. Rashi explains, tell the guy something not true, what you don't have in mind, so that you save your life. So how does the Gemara learn from Yaakov to say a non-truth when Yaakov did say the truth? And the Rebbe is going to now explain the idea of Yarchiv Lo Haderech, that it says Hirchiv Lo Haderech and not Yarich Lo, as the Rebbe will explain now. Ois Gimel. The Rebbe explains that we see this directly from the Loshen Rashi, that Hirchiv Lo Haderech, Rashi is very clearly saying that he did not lie to him. Why does Rashi Bichlal have to say Hirchiv Lo Haderech? You should just tell him. You should go one. You should tell him something different so it doesn't hurt him. Why does that say Hirchiv Lo Haderech? Hirchiv Lo Haderech means Rashi's trying to tell you that he didn't make it longer. He widened it, meaning that it's going to take some time. Gimel. Let them das verstehen, behagdim abir, in them will understand it by first explaining this was Rashi zog b'chlal dem inyan hirchiv lo haderech. Why does Rashi even say hirchiv lo haderech? The lechayre is das ayitur loshen. Seems an extra language. As volt given moving, then zog blois dem hemshach. Rashi would have just said the continuation. Ad asher ovay el adoni seira. So he says, Omar, that he said, Im daitoi lasis liro, yamtinat boil etzloi v'uleholach. If he has in mind to do something bad to me, so then let him wait. And then at the end, he didn't go. So Rashi in Chumash adds the words of Hirchiv Lo Haderech. Why is Rashi saying this extra without just saying that let him wait for me? He didn't go. So the Hirchiv Lo Haderech that Rebbe explains is coming to clarify that what he was saying here was not something not true. The in them. Mit magdim zayin dem inyan hirchiv loy haderechu. By Rashi introducing the idea, first starting off the Rashi hirchiv loy haderech. Macht Rashi klor. Rashi clarifies. Gleich bitchilas pirushay, in the beginning of his commentary. As Yaakov zogen, that when Yaakov said, Ad asher ovay el adoni seiro, is klal nit given kidibur bilti amiti. It was never, not at all, something not true. He starts off, Hirchiv lo haderech. Rashi tells you he widened the way from him. This is telling you he is not lying to him. He is Hirchiv lo haderech. Der mit is nor Hirchiv lo haderech. He widened the way. What does it mean to widen the way? Pirush haposhut, the simple meaning from Hirchiv. What does it mean to widen? Der derech is geworden breiter, the road widened. Yaakov hat nicht gemeint zu verlängern dem derech. He did not intend to make the road longer, to say it longer. As der mokim hiluche is weiter, that the place where he's going is further away. Wie hat beemes gemeint, as he really thought. And so, in other words, if he really intended to go one place and then he said he's going further, that would be lengthening the way that he really meant, but that's not what Yaakov did. Then Rashi should have said, Herich loy haderech, he prolonged the way for him. Nor de arichas haderech is the zalber. It's the same length, not further. Nor der derech vet sein breiter, but the road is going to be wider. Vet doyerun merer zman. It will take more time. It will take more time. Vet sein mit hefsekin. Take more time. It'll be with interruptions. Shehi is delays v'chulu. This is belav hachimucha. Even without saying hirchel saderech, it's evident. We have to say it in any event that fun was Yaakov hat masbir given Esav. The fact that Yaakov explained to Esav, "Va'ani asnalo li'iti." He says, "I'm going to go slowly. I'm going to be led slow. L'regel hamalacha for the work asher lefonai, that is for me, the things I need to do. L'regel ha'ilodim for the children. Der hiluch vetzayin pamelach. The walk, the travel is going to be slow. Aufstellen sich öfter. We will make more often stops. L'regel hamalacha ha'ilodim, because of the work and the children, I'm going to have to stop. Bis wird safe ankommen aladeni seira. Until at the end, he will come aladeni seira. He is going to Seir, but there's going to be a lot of stops on the way. There's going to be a lot of delays. There's going to be a slow. He's going to come there, but that's going to be in a while. And that's what means hirchiv loy. Not that's why Rashi says that. He widened, telling him, I am going to get there, but it's going to take a while. So it turns out, according to this, from Pirush Rashi, the end of Rashi's commentary, that he's going to go in the days of Mashiach, is nit nor nit kein stira zu yarchiv loyas haderech. Not only does this not contradict that he told him yarchiv loyas haderech, meaning he said that he's going to go. He said he's going to go further. That's not what yarchiv loyas haderech means. Rebbe says. He never told him that he's going to go further. He's just going to say so. Saying that he's going to come later on is not conflicting, but this is actually the meaning. It's going to take time until Leosid, when they will come at the end. Is nit nor nit stira zu yarchil doesn't conflict with widening the road for him. In the beginning of Rashi's commentary, nor adarabe. But on the contrary, when he says at the end, Yelech b'mei Mashiach is mefarish dem hirchim loya haderech, when he's going to go Mei Mashiach, this explains that the widest road, that eventually he said he's going to get there. The tachlis. Un ende von Archoves haderech, the ultimate, the goal and the end of Archoves haderech, wird sein b'mei Mashiach, b'mei Mashiach, will sein days of Mashiach. Und das, was Rashi sagt, Rashi seems to almost say very clearly that he had only in mind to go at Sukkot. Here, the Rebbe is explaining that he had in mind to go Seir, but he just told him it's going to take a while. But Rashi writes clearly, not that he was going to go to Seir. Is nicht Kavanos as Yaakov had gemeint zu gehen bis Sukkot und nicht weiter. Rashi does not mean to say that Yaakov only wanted to go until Sukkot and not further, because das ist doch hepech hamefurish b'kosuv, because this would be contradicting, opposite than the pasuk. Forget about discussion over here. If Yaakov wanted to go only to Sukkot, the pasuk says differently. As it is the noch gegangen, that afterwards he went to Shechem. He was delayed. He went to Shechem and the whole Maisa Medina. Nor the itzlike halicha, when Esav is gegangen ledarkei seira, when now this going, when Esav reached, went to his way, Seir, unongekumen ahin, and he reached, came there to Seir, Vayoshav, he returned there. Is Yaakov daite leleches nor bisukos, at this equivalent to his getting to Seir, he's going to Sukkah, unoso sukoisa. Und sich dort abgestellt lemeshach zman, and then he stopped there for a time. So this going to Sukkot was just for that time that Esav is going to get there. He's going to go to Sukkot, but this is all part of this hirchiv lo yaderech. Und sich dort abgestellt lemeshach zman. Okay, before in Rashi, as Rashi says, Yaakov shom besukos yud ches chodesh. He wait there for 18 months. There was summer, winter. The Rashi says over there. That's after Shechem. It says blois given ashiyir b'derech. So Rashi also uses the words of shom, that he stayed there. That was a delay. He waited over there. But this is all part of. It's not the goal. He didn't reach there at the end of his journey that he was talking about when he says to him, Avay Adoni Seira. But that was going to Sukkot for the meantime and the sort of the first stop or the first area to be with. The first with Shechem first, but as a stop when he goes to Seir, he's going to be in Sukkot. But Avay Adoni Seira, he's still going there. So it seems so easy to understand that by Yaakov, this wasn't really any lie at all, nothing not true. So how come in the Gemara, Rashi interprets that you should say something not true to a non-Jew? So therefore we have to understand on the other side. So why does Rashi learn in his commentary for the Gemara as the pirush from Yarchiv loy es haderech, that what does it mean to widen the road? If you needed to go a parsa, yemerle based parsos, and I need to go for 2 parsos. But this is something not true. Saying something not true. How does Rashi learn? The whole explanation that I've explained now, that Rashi, that it's not a contradiction because Yaakov never intended to say something not true. It was just going to take time till he's going to go to Seir. So how does Rashi learn from Yaakov in the Gemara? It learns that we have to say something not true. He's going to needs to go 2 parsos. One parsah is told 2 parsos. But since we're learning it, this is too just like Yaakov did. Is the full moving kinalas that I've pointed out earlier, as a zoizer given like Pirush Rashi l'shas by Yaakov, that this is what happened by Yaakov, just like Yaakov did. We're telling everybody, so that Yaakov turns out was saying something which was not factual. So Hein visas massing libiur hanal. So how does this fit? Rebbe is trying to explain in Rashi in the Chumash that it was actually factual, and this happened later on, and that's what the intention was. So why does Rashi say that you should, from this Gemara we learn, you should say something not true, like Yaakov did? Yaakov said the truth if we accept the Rebbe's explanation. So why does the Gemara say that? And the Rebbe asks another question. A change in the language of Rashi in the Gemara and in his commentary on the Chumash of how danger the person feels from the presence of the Goy. Let's look inside. Daluk. Euch darf man beweir sein dem Shinui von Rashi bepirusha l'shas und bepirusha la Torah. The difference in Rashi in his commentary for the Gemara and his commentary on the Torah. Bepirusha l'shas, in his commentary on the Gemara, if Yarchiv loy as aderech zokter, he says Adur dem was yomer loy beis parsos and itzorich leilach, by saying to him, I need to go to parsos, is ula yamtin hanochri milahakoisei ad parsoshnia. Perhaps the guy will wait from smiting him until the parsa, till the second parsa, which means the assumption is that the guy wants to smite him. By telling him two parsa, perhaps you can buy yourself the first parsa because he's not going to kill you yet, but you're already assuming from them lashon is moving to this lashon, this language is understood as menemt on, that we are assuming as der Nochri will sicher lakoise, that for sure he wants to kill him. Und durch dem, was wird ihm sagen, beis parsois chulu, and by telling him two parsois, etc., wird efsher abwarten. Perhaps he will delay. Ula yamtin milakoise, maybe he will delay and not smite him. Bald as das is kiderech shose Yaakov. We're saying you should do like Yaakov did. Is simon is mashma, as by Yaakov is azoy given. That also by Yaakov he was afraid, or he was sure. He assumed that Esav is going to kill him, and that's why we learn from Yaakov that everybody should do that and say to go ahead, so that the person who is intent on killing you will not, perhaps you'll save yourself until you get to the other place. But Rashi and Chumash, Rashi doesn't say he's going to wait, he's certainly going to kill you. If he's going to have an intent later on, aber bepirusha ala Torah, but in Rashi's commentary on the Torah, by them hirchiv lo haderech by Yaakov, when Rashi says that he widened the way, is Rashi medayik b'lashoin. That Rashi is very precise, specifically the language Rashi used. Omar, he says, im daite lasis liro yamtin ad boyi etzle. If he has in mind to do something bad to me, let him wait till I come to him. The hainu as the baboranish is given al hasofik. That means that what he cautioned him and what he's cautioning, what he's worried about, is a question. He's not sure that he's going to do it. Im daite lasis lira. If he has in mind to do bad to me, it's not certain. It's not something not a certain matter. As Asa vilim tonaro, that Asa wishes to do something bad to him. And Rashi in the Gemara seems to learn that Esav was definitely, Yaakov perceived that Esav was definitely going to hurt him. And that's why over there Rashi says, buy yourself time. But in the Rashi, in the Chumash, Rashi says, maybe he's going to. The L'chayre is the Soichanav Kimin Alocha. What the facts is would make a difference in halacha. When are we allowed to use this advice of Yarchivloi? If can we use it by Yaakov, that Yaakov was afraid for his life for sure, only in that case, and that was the case by Yaakov? Or maybe we learn from Yaakov that even when you just had a question, whether we can use the advice of widening the road, also in a situation when she is a sophic, when you're in doubt, if he has in mind to do bad, can you use it then also? Or perhaps to begin with, one should search for another way in order to protect themselves and not to use the way of Yarchim Lo Haderech, because by Yaakov it was a more certain situation. But if it's not sure, if it's a suffix, maybe you shouldn't use it. So that will make a difference. So what's the Rebbe now is going to explain that b'derech hapshat, it's not so pashut that he thought that he's going to kill him, because we find the friendship between Esav over here and the whole story. So in derech hapshat, it's actually mashma that he was not intent on killing him. There was only a doubt. I say. So based on the Rebbe's rule that Rashi explains Pshuta Shel Mikra, and that's why the Rebbe learns that in Pshuta Shel Mikra, Yaakov did not fear for his life. It was only a question im. But it was not a question. Hey, is the biur bazeh k'meduber kamapam? The explanation, as explained many times, spoken many times. Sai b'pirushay al hatoira, usai b'pirushay al hashas. Both in Rashi's commentary on the Torah and also in his commentary on the Shas, on the Gemara, is Rashi Befarish. Rashi explains B'derech HaPshat in the way, the style of Pshat, of literal understanding of the simple meaning. Nor b'pirusha ala Torah is basi l'pshuta shel mikra, but in the commentary on the Torah over there, he explains the simple meaning of the pasuk. B'pirusha l'shas, and in his commentary on the Gemara, is a mefadish loitin derech hapshat for the Gemara. He explains in the style of the simple meaning of the Gemara, in the Gemara's level. Afilu ben es stimmt nit mit pshuta shel mikra, even when it does not fit with the simple meaning of the pasuk, but it fits with the simple meaning of the Gemara. So Rashi could explain the Gemara as it fits in the simple level of the Gemara, and in the Chumash as it fits the Pshuta Shel Mikra. The Inyan Hanal in Gemara, this above subject in the Gemara is Behemshach in their Sugya, that comes as a continuation in the Sugya, the discussion, the whole Gemara over there, As Nochrim Zainen Chashudim al Shvichas Domim, that Nochrim are suspected to pour blood to kill you. Was bepashtus meintus, simply it means, as b'shas Nochri frecht lahichin heilig. When he asks you where you going, when that is the Chashud al Shvichas Domim, and he is suspected for pouring blood, for killing, is as similar as B'daite is like that he has in mind to actually kill him. Why is he asking him? He's suspected. Maybe he's going. Und er ist sehr verstandig. Von Pastus hat Gosh Sagamora Benigel Yaakov. Similar, it's also understood the emphasis of the Gemara said to Yaakov. Kederech she'osa Yaakov Avinu le'esav harosha. Just as Yaakov did to Esav the evil. This is Esav Harosha. Das was Yaakov hat Meshane given b'dibure. The fact that Yaakov changed what he said, not the way the facts were, his gefender far was because was erad gehat suton, because he had to deal with Esav Harosha. He was dealing with Harosha, with an evil person. Zayin dik Harosha, because he was Harosha, hoter b'deya lasis loiro, he has the mind to do bad to him. Mashen kenim pshute shel mikro, as opposed to the simple meaning of the pasuk, is fun sipura kesuvim nit muchach. From the story of the psukim, it's not evident and Esav had gesucht suton Yaakov and Arah, that Esav was searching to do Yaakov something bad. Not in the pshat of the pasuk. In the Gemara, it seems like we're talking about an Esav Harosha, but in the pasuk, doesn't seem like he was doing it wrong. Adrabah. On the contrary, on ebendik from pasuk shebahas cholos ha'inyan, starting with the pasuk that begins the subject matter by Yoratz Esav likrose. Esav ran towards him by Yichabekeyu, and he hugged him by Yipel al Tzavori, he fell on his neck, by Yishakeyu, he kissed him. Is der ganze Hemshech Hadibur von Esav and given betoichem, the entire flow of the words of Esav Gwar betoichem in a context of Chiba V'reus. It was friendship, it was dearness, it was love. Unazoi befrat, this was the whole, starting from that point, was all of friendship and a way of love and camaraderie. Unazoi befrat by der Amira, especially, specifically when he said that Yaakov had geantwortet, and Esav said, what did Yaakov respond to? I will come to my master to Seir. And Nisa v'nilcho ve'elcho lenegdecho. Let's journey, and I will go together with you. Esav offered to walk along with Yaakov. Toivazu es Allah, Rashi says, I will do you this favor. I'm going to go along with you. So here it's only a worry, a suspicion about Esav is fortgiven Yaakov. Since for many years Esav was an enemy to Yaakov. But Yaakov sich bewahren mit der Zehiris Neisefes. So Yaakov protected himself with an additional precaution. Im daite lasis lira. If he has in mind to do bad, he's going to be protected. Therefore, he sends him further away. So now, this is the difference now between Rashi and Rambam, and Rashi and the Chumash and Rashi and the Gemara. Wo? Und das ist der Chilik zwischen Pirush Rashi ala Teure und Pirush Rashi ala Shas. Shas men red wegen Esav Harosha, as the Gemara does. Balderach ze bichlal, similarly, wegen Agoy Arosha, HaChoshud al Shvichas Domim, a goy who is a Rasha, who is suspected for Shvichas Domim, is ein Shaila la'ona teholich. So when that guy asks, where are you going? Weist as b'daite l'hakoisek. That shows that he has in mind to smite him. A matzah from sakona, that's a condition of a danger. Medav the river sich banutzen mit mittel, and that's why you need to use the means Von adibur she'enei emes, from something which is not true, kidei li'notzel from their sakone, in order to save yourself from the danger, from the imminent danger. Im hoyu tzorich leilech at parsa, if he needs to go a parsa, yomer lo, you should tell him base parsois, and it's tzorich lelech, you should tell him I need to go 2 parsois. Was the mit kenner abstupen dis sakone, that way he can push off the danger, as the Nochri vet obwarten, the Nochri will delay Milah Koisim from Smaitim at Parsha Shniya till the second Parsha. In the meantime, he will escape, he will separate from him before that. As opposed to the simple meaning of the Pasik, is given there was merely a worry and a doubt, a question. If he wants, maybe he wants to do and in order to remove this worry of danger is maspik de amira, then it's sufficient to say ad asher adeni seira, until I'll come to Baifun von Hirchim Loyasaderech, he widening the way. So if there is no real danger, then if there is real danger, then the suspected danger, then you have to tell them to hopefully you can delay the danger. In the meantime, you can escape. But if it's only a question that might be a dangerous situation, then you can't just say something which is not true, but you can hear tell them something true, but with a delay, as it's going to take more time, as by Yaakov. This explains the Rashi and the Gemara, the Rashi and the Chumash. And now the Rebbe is going to explain the Rambam, a whole new arichas to explain what's the idea, how the Rambam learns it. Zion. For the inyonim mufloim al derech ha'halocha was meken ha'reisam for Pirush Rashi. And the wonderful thing, according to the halacha style, that we can take out from this Rashi. The way we explained before, Rashi's language, that he widened the way. He didn't make it longer, but he just widened it. It's just a delay. As nit herich ongebendik amokim versus vayt. He didn't prolong it. He didn't tell him a place that is further. Vider ordvumot b'day. It's again than the place that you have in mind to go. You're not giving him a false place. Nor mis marchiv them derech gufa, the way that you're talking going there. But you are not going to go right away. You're going to delay. You're widening. There's going to take time to get there. We can also explain the Rambam's view in this halacha. And Rambam, this is the language quoting the Rambam. If he asks him, where are you going? He should widen the way. Similar to Yaakov widening the road for Esav. Until I come to my master to say. Isn't it move on? It's not understood. The Rambam is doch a sefer von halachas. Rambam is a book of halachas. He says, Yarchiv lo yasaderech. What does he mean by Yarchiv lo yasaderech? Rambam doesn't clarify what he means, what happens. Rashi in the Gemara says that you should tell him 1, go 2, but the Rambam doesn't explain. Since the Rambam is a sefer halachas, a sefer Buddha halachas, Zainin, Klor, and Reis Gebrach, they are very clearly brought out. So that we should know how we should conduct ourselves in actuality. Parvos touched nit up the Rambam. Why does the Rambam not translate vos es meinen the verten yarchiv loy saderech? What does it mean we should widen the road? As the commentators of the Gemara explain, und euch der Beis Yosef in Shulchan Aruch, Beis Yosef Shulchan Aruch sagt dem Din Baruch, he says very clearly, Shol lehechin ato hoylech, if he asked him where you're going, If he tells him, I want to go a parsa, he should tell him two parsas. That's the Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch. He says clearly. But the Rambam doesn't explain what it means, Yarchil Le'aderech. It would seem that maybe we can say, in this would be squeezed, as Ladas Rambam is Yarchil Le'aderech Koilel Tzvei Inyonim. That Yarchil Le'aderech means two matters. Here, the whole time we're talking about, you should tell him two. Yarchil Le'aderech is not that you're actually going another way, a different way. It's not you're doing something, you're saying something that you will do. We're discussing what is it that you were saying. Was he saying that he's going to go to Seir, or was saying he's going elsewhere? According to Rashi in the Chumash, he was saying that he's going to Seir, but it's just Yarchim Le'aderech, and he had the mind to go to Seir. The Gemara, he had in mind to not to go to Seir, but he just told him that. But maybe the Rambam means Yarchim Le'aderech also in actuality. Ken Zogen B'derech Ponim, at least Derech L'das Rambam is Yarchim Le'aderech Koidel Tzvei Inyonim, includes two matters. Der Yarchim batzit sich nicht nur zum Dibur. It's not only to widen him to his speech, what he tells him was man darf sagen dem Nochri, that which we need to tell the guy. But das meint euch ben egele meise. It means also as it pertains to actuality. Al derech, we say berevach tosimu ben eder leeder. Put space between one herd and the other herd by the gift that Yaakov was sending to Avis. There was a revach, there was a space that is harchiv loy haderech, space. Men darf sich behaderech in the word Yaakov, the weiteren von dem Nochri. Space yourself, wide yourself, space yourself away from the Nochri. V'alpizeh yumtav diuch haloshen in the Rambam. This would sweeten the precise language in the Rambam. Kederech shehirchiv Yaakov le'Esav. Now, just like Yaakov widened it for Esav, shenemar adasher ovoi el adoni seira. He says, until I come to Adoni seira. So why does the Rambam say this? Unit mer b'diuk l'chayre. Would seem he should say more precisely. Well, the Sefta says, Sha'omar ad asher ovay el adoni seira. You should say just like Yaakov said. But the way the Rebbe is saying that, perhaps we're trying to explain that the Rambam doesn't just mean to say that you're going to widen the way, but he means you should actually distance yourself, move away from him. So the Rambam doesn't say Sha'omar, he said that, but he actually, the Eitzah is to separate yourself like Yaakov, not to go together and make a distance, make a revach. So maybe that's why the Rambam doesn't have to explain what the Omar Loi is, because it's not Omar Loi, it's actually an act that the Rambam is also referring to. But in Tzugovadas is Adech Godel, but besides this being a very difficult interpretation, is there in this idea as gendig bederech darf man sich der Weiterung von Anochri. That when you are going on the road, you need to distance yourself from the Nochri. Welcher is choshud al shfichas domim. Such a Nochri who's suspected that he might kill you, hat shein der Rambam gesagt in der frier dikar halacha. The Rambam already said it in the previous halacha. V'lo yislave imay baderech, should not go along with them in the word. Is der far, the Rebbe doesn't buy that marchiv means space, because that's already been said. So the truth is, the Rebbe says, as Yarchiv Loi, the Machvarte, the truth is that when it says Yarchiv Loi means a derech is Oich Loit Rambam, also according to the Rambam, you mean der Dibur. The Rambam means that when he says, Als Entfer, Oif Shalos Shal this is a response. He says, Lo Nato Helech. So he tells him, Yarchiv Loi Aderech, not that he should, this is all. So then the question that the Rebbe asked in the beginning, why does it not translate what it means by widen for him the road? The Rebbe tries to say that perhaps the Rambam means Yarchiv Derech in practically in action, that you should distance yourself physically. But the Rebbe said in that case, the Rambam should not just use. This is not a halacha that the Rambam is teaching us here. This is a halacha we know already from before. So Yarchiv must mean that he's saying to him, but what does it mean exactly, Yarchiv Derech? Why does the Rambam not explain it? And besides that, Ches, Oich Zayin and Don, noch kama v'kama diukim in Loshen Rambam. Now, there's also many questions that we have in the language of the Rambam himself. Aleph, this is the proof that the Rambam brings. How we know that Yaakov was Marchiv V'Saderach. And Rashi, the Rambam doesn't bring the pasuk that Yaakov ended up going to Sukkot, which is the proof that he didn't go where he said he's going. Aleph. The Rambam brings not the pasuk; he only brings the pasuk. He says, "Ad asher ovay el Adoni seira." We see that he widened him the way because he says, "Until I come to my master to Seir." But he doesn't bring the pasuk where we see that Yaakov actually didn't go there. Only the zweiten pasuk was bringt sich in Gemara, not the second pasuk that is brought down in the Gemara. The Yaakov nosa Sukkot, that Yaakov journeyed to Sukkot. But it would seem the Raye as mit sein Zogun ad asher ovei al Adoni seira, that the proof that when Yaakov said ad asher ovei al Adoni seira, how do we know what Yaakov mar and how do we know that Yaakov widened the way? The derech is therefore because what happened. The fact was Yaakov nosa nit seira. He didn't go to Seir nor Sukkot. And the Rambam is mashmid them posing. The Rambam skips, doesn't bring down this pasuk of he went to Sukkot. He just said al Deinei Seira. Where do we see in Ovei al Deinei Seira? We don't see yet that he didn't have in mind to come there. He should say that he ended up in Sukkot, but the Rambam doesn't mention this pasuk. Base, another question. In Gemara is the Loshen Kederech she'asa Yaakov. It says like Yaakov did. When the Rambam is Mishana und schreibt, the Rambam changed Loshen Gemara and he writes Kederech she'irchim Yaakov. Like Yaakov, why not like Yaakov did? And Gimel, number 3, in Gemara is the Loshen Yaakov Avinu le'esav harasha. Gemara Yaakov, our father, to Esav the Rasha. When the Rambam is Mashmid the Te'arim, the Rambam skips the titles of Shab Yaakov Leisav, or Yaakov the Te'esav. So what's the explanation in these 3 details that the Rebbe is asking? First of all, the Rambam doesn't explain, but the Rebbe spoke in the previous ois what Yarchiv means, and within the Lashon of the Rambam himself, the Rambam doesn't bring seemingly the main pasuk or the pasuk that we have evidence. He just brings Allah Avei Ladoni Seira without saying that he didn't end up going there, which the Gemara brings down. The Rambam doesn't bring down. The Rambam changes instead of She'asa Yaakov, he says that he did. He's a Yaakov. And also, the Rambam doesn't mention the titles as in the Gemara. Yes. But based on the above, as we explained, the Rashi and the Torah we can say, as the Rambam halt, that the Rambam's view is, as this is their Pirush, Indin Yarchiv Loi as Haderech Bayedin, that this is the meaning and the halacha that you should widen the road by every Jew. And darfar dem nochri breitem machen dem derech in welchen gate. He needs to widen the way, the road in which he's going. As esvet gedoyeren asach zeit. Always so, it's going to take a long time. Bis ervet kumen lemokim pleni, till he will come to that place. Harchovas haderech in zman, widen the road in time. Time-wise, it's going to take a long time. But durch then, because when you do that, vet der Nochri, aufgeben sein Machshove, he will give up his thought to Tony Marot to do something bad to him. Weil weiß nicht, wie lang der Eid wird sich versammeln bederach. He doesn't know how long the Eid is going to delay in the road. Tell him that you're going to come. It's going to take a while. So in the meantime, since he doesn't know, he'll leave. Now, Pizay is meduyik the Lashon Rambam, so the exact language of Rambam is precise. כדרך שהילכי יעקב לעשו שנאמר עד אשר עובר אל אדוני שעירו. As he told him the long way, the wide way until he came to Sidon. Darchovas haderech by Yaakov is bashtanen. What did the widening of the way by Yaakov consist in? Sein Zogen, Ad asher over el Adoni Sidon, by telling him till I come to my Adoni Sidon. As es wird gedauern an unbestimmter Zman, that it's going to take an undefined time because of the work of the Elodim, Bizer vetahin zu ankommen till we'll reach them. Was von them lernt man up. This we learn as jeder Yid darf sorgen beäufen, that every Yid should say in a way as soll marchiv sein dem derech, that he should widen the road. Was in them in Archoves haderech is nit negeya them posig that Bayakim nosus so it doesn't. It's not important to know that he didn't come to time. We're talking about just tell that it's going to take time wherever you go. The Ribber is the Rambam Oich Mashmit, the Werther, he also takes out the words of Yaakov Avinu, our father, Esav Rosh. Well, that's the Rambam is. Because the Rambam's opinion is that those was Yaakov at sich bavorn, durch Hilche von Esav. The fact that he protected himself, he cautioned himself by from Esav is not weil is given sicher as Esav Haroshim. It's not because he was certain that Esav was evil, that in Tonaro was going to do something bad to him. But on the contrary, Damot is given a matzah, who was a condition, as Esav had a reis gewiesen achvat to Yaakov. He showed brotherly. He was to Yaakov. Kenal bebir Pirush Rashi, it's been Rashi. Das is given as Yiris Nisefes Mitzad Yaakov Canal. This was an additional precaution and protection, extra measure that Yaakov took to be careful from Yaakov now. So when you see a guy, just tell him it'll take time. Perhaps he will change his mind. Yud, man darf aber verstehen, need to understand, because this is all fine and good if we explain that Yarchiv doesn't mean a longer way. Yarchiv just means delay. Yarchiv means delay. He's going to the same place. Tell him where you're going, or he knows where you're going. Just make it a like. But if you look in the language of the Gemara, it seems that that's not the examples that the Gemara gives. Over there, it seems like he was telling him the wrong directions, not the right place where he's going. Man darf aber verstehen Yud. Man darf aber verstehen gleich noch dem Din Sholu Leich in Heulach. Immediately after the halacha, if he asks him where he goes, and it says Yarchiv Lo Yahaderech, he should widen the road. Bring the Gemara Tzvei Maisis. The Gemara brings two stories. Welchen sie is Muchach, from which it's evident, from the Chayda Mefurish, and seemingly very clear, as der Pirush from Yarchiv is the Pirush Hanal from Rashi al Shas. Is as Rashi says in the Gemara, that you tell him the wrong place, that you tell him that you're going to go 2 miles, even though you're going to go only 1 parsha. You're telling him 2 parshas, so you're telling him a different way, not Yarchiv to widen. And this is the language of the Gemara. Maise betalmidei Rabbi Akiva. There was a story with the students of Rabbi Akiva. They were going to Chziv. Pogu behem listim. So they came across the bandits. Amru lahem la'on atam hilchim. They said to them, where are you going? Amru lahem. They answered la'aku. So we're going to Aku. Given shegil lichziv pirshu. Once they came to Chziv, that's where they left. Amru lahem. So they said to them, Talmidai, mi atem. He says, my students, who are you? Because Amru lahem. So they said, Talmidai Rabbi Akiva. So they said to the people in Chziv, we're students of Rabbi Akiva. Amru lahem. So they said to them, the people in Chziv, Ashri Rabbi Akiva, how fortunate is Rabbi Akiva with Talmidim and his students, that a bad person did not impact them, did not affect them ever, because they were smart. That they, instead of telling the person that they're going to Kziv, they told them they're going to Aku, and in the meantime they saved themselves. The Gemara brings a second story similar to this. Rabbi Menashe was going to Beiturto. Pogu Beigan Bichud. When the Hemshech is given al derech with the Maisa, the same continuous story with the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, told them one place and then they went in another place. The Pashtus, so come in the Maisis in Gemara al Saraya Beichoche. These stories come in the Gemara as evidence and a proof. When I said something that actually happened from Friedrich Din to the previous din. He asked him where he goes to, he should widen the way. From Zayzetman, wie der Inyan von Yarchiv wat Matzel given. So over there you see that Yarchiv saved them, and that's what meaning, therefore, of Yarchiv is like Rashi in the Gemara, not like Rashi in the Chumash, and not like the Rambam that I wanted to explain in the Rambam. Dort haben sie doch gesagt, nicht emes. There they said something not true. As again, they're going to a place von a weiter Weg, on a further way. Basis eine Geige nor lemokim korev. And at the end, they only went to a place which is closer. Can we doch nicht lernen, as Yarchim in Gemara is genau, how could you learn Yarchim is like we said before? As sagt ihm nicht liegen, he's not saying a lie durch verlängern dem derech by saying a longer way. Weiter Weg, again, he's not telling you going distance, nor verbreiten blois, but he's just widening mit demselben derech, mit Shib Isman, but he's just widening the way by delaying. He's making the wide roader because he's delaying in the road. But it seems clearly that he's actually giving him a wrong place. And so that's the meaning of Yarchiv Lo Yaderech. So almost it's clear that the Gemara brings the evidence from these two stories seemingly to the case of Yarchiv Lo Yaderech. So we see that Yarchiv Lo Yaderech means that he's going in a different place, and not widening that it's going to take longer, which seems to conflict with the explanation that the Rebbe gave in the Rambam, and the Rebbe explained the Rashi in the Chumash. It almost seems clearly like the Rashi in the Gemara. So the Rebbe explains the machlokes between the Rambam and Rashi. The Rambam, as the Rebbe explained, learns that only Yarchiv Lo, but not like Rashi says that you have to tell them a different story, the wrong place you're going. This depends on how much do we suspect the Nochrim? It's possible that this is just a general precaution, or when a Nochri asks you, Where are you going? That makes it like a definite, a more bori hazeka. And based on that, there's the difference between Rashi and the Rambam. Rashi learns it's a bori hazeka, whereas the Rambam learns that this is just a follow-up of all the precautions that one takes. It's not a special then when you ask him, and Rebbe says will be a difference lahaloche for our days when we don't have chashudim al nefoshes. So even if a guy would ask you where you going, okay, it's just a regular precaution. But today we don't have to worry about it. But if asking you where you going puts a special cheshaz, it becomes porezek, and maybe we should today too have to yarchim le'aderech. Let's look inside. Yudalav Yeshloim Rabbi Yur was so we can say the explanation. Rashi und der Rambam seinen Mechuluk in der Hagdoras HaSakona, they are disagreeing how to define the danger for Yid mitzad Nochri from the goy was Sholo Leichin Heulach who asked him, where are you going? Men can dos lernen we can learn it in two ways. Das is in der selber Geder Sakone with the Frier Dikerdinim. This level, the definition of this danger is no different than the previous halachas that we talked on, Niskorim Leilin Gemara that I mentioned earlier in the Gemara. Or this time when he asked you, where you going, or the Dosot Agedem Yuchad, maybe this is specifically its own definition. Mitzad dem was nochrim bechlal seinen cheshudim al shvichas nomen. From the perspective that generally goyim are suspected for shvichas domim. Seine chal kame protedinim. So there is many different details of halachas. If a yidin ve'azoyed avzechofit on a yid, how he needs to protect himself. Lo yisyachid od mimom, shouldn't be with them alone. Nidam lo nochri baderech. If a goy happens to come with you on the way, toifli yiminoy, get him to your right side. If you were going up or you descending, the yid should not be on the bottom and the top. Either way, always make sure that you're on the top. These are all general precautions. Kemen Zogen, we say, Aleph. One way we can say, Al derech zeh, this is one way of saying, Al derech zeh, der din. On a similar way, is also alocha. Which comes immediately after that in the Gemara, he asked him where he's going. So this is another case in which we have to protect ourselves. This is noch a matzib. This is an additional condition. By welchen a yid darf sich bewahren von a nochri, and a yid has to protect himself from a goyim. Mitzad them clothes, because the general suspicion about goyim. So this is a continuation of that general chash. But that's one way of learning it. But another way is Bays. Here becomes like a whole new issue. Oh, he's asking me where I'm going. That's not just a general shot. By asking where I'm going, I have to worry about even more. Bays. If he asks you where you're going, is anders. That's different. Harbe, that's more serious with the Frier Dinim in Gemara than the previous laws in the Gemara. And the usage. That's based the previous laws of the Hanocha on the assumption that generally Nochrim are suspected as Shvichas Domim. But this is different. This is more strict. While Aldos was Shole he asks him, is Arayim Muchachas, that's an evident a proof, a clear proof, as der Nochrim, this is going to be frat. Build the meat and he wishes to do him bad. Why is he asking where you're going? The fact that he asks him where you're going, he leaves. He's no longer defined as suspicious from generally going, and that he's together from Bori Hazeka. He goes into, now it's already very clear. And as the Rebbe says, so there's two ways of saying it. Is this more danger when he asks you where you're going? That makes it more prominent that suspicion is stronger, not just a general suspicion, but in particular, this guy is trying to harm me. Or it's a general, a regular suspicion, like the other cases we learned before. And the difference would be in our days, when the poskim say we don't have goyim chashudim. So if the yarchiv derech shaloi, then when he asks him, is like all the other cases, doesn't apply today too. But if it's a serious more case, because when he asks you, he's more, then maybe today we have to worry about it also. Yud beis v'yashloimar. We can say as einer from the nafkemina la halacha zwischen the tzvei fanim is one of the difference in halacha between these two ways is the das aposkim, according to the opinion of the codifier as bisman hazeh, that nowadays seine nochrim ein regilim begach if shvichas damim. The nochrim aren't accustomed this to pour blood to kill people. Ba'adraber. Contrary, we know that today, today they will beat and they will punish and they will give you a death penalty for a murder on the murderer. So they're not called suspected for killing a person nowadays. So on the river is the top is manazeh, and that's why nowadays there is no oifazoi feel to such an extent. There is sort of to the prohibition to be alone with the Nachri and similar case. So, according to these poskim, where the Shaila is the din foul, what is the halacha in a case from Shaul when they ask you where you're going? The V'oifen Aleph, according to the first way, as the din for Yarchim Loy Haderech is a little the din that will widen the way is mitzadem chashash of Nochrim Bechlal, the worry of Nochrim in general is Bisman Hazeh. Then Nochrim Zainin. So in our days when Nochrim Zainin Shenit Choshud Al Shvichas Domim, when we don't suspect them for pouring blood, Faltov Oich Der Shad by Sholichu. So also when he asks you, we don't have to worry about it because it's no different than all the other, which the Poskim say don't apply today. But that was nicht beworren as Archiv Leaderech, and we don't have to protect yourself by widening the road. But according to the second way, as but if he asks you, is nit achshash, it's not a suspicion. But body Ezekiel becomes clear that's genau. Also nowadays you have to widen for him the road. You'd give up. So the Rebbe wants to explain that this is the difference between the Rambam and Rashi. Rashi holds that this is a special halacha, and Rashi learns from the listim that is followed in the Gemara. But the Rambam lawyers know that this is a general halacha, and therefore it's all the time. This is part of the regular suspicion when it applies. Based on this, we can say, Ados is the plukta between Rashi and Rambam. This is the argument between Rashi and Rambam. Rashi b'pirushin l'shas hal ka'ifan habeis. Rashi, in his commentary on the Gemara, he holds like the second way. As Shaul when he asks you where you're going, this specific guy adin miyuchad, there's a special law for this guy asking you where you're going. It's evident this matter as avil mask zayin den yid, that he wants to hurt the yid. Or Rashi let him test off. What does Rashi know that this is the pshat, that he wants to hurt him? That is the from pshat the Gemara was behemshach to them din, that as a follow up of this halacha. When Yarchim Lo Yaderech, widen the way, bringt man die zwei Meises, and now you bring the two stories. Wegen Pogobem listim, the bandits, when Pogobem Gamvi, you see the Ganovim. So that means that this is a definite, it's not just ordinary Nochri. This is listim and Gamvi. So that means that that was the halacha we were talking about before Yarchim Lo Yaderech. By asking, it's like becoming a listim and a Gamvi. Then meet, let him the Gemara L'das Rashi. So from this, the Gemara learns that Rashi's opinion as by Sholol Leichin Ha'olach, that when he asked him where he's going, Hod Nochrid them gather from Masik Vadai. He has the definition from a definite Masik, Bedugmas listed Begambi. He's like a robber and a Gambi. The Rebbe led him to Rashi as Mendarv sich dan Bavoran and Kechol Ha'efshori. So Rashi says, therefore, in that case, you have to protect yourself to all means possible. Nit nor adibur ba'alma, not just by saying, wide b'chdei the nochri, so maybe he will stop thinking because he doesn't know how long it's going to take to you. As the Rambam learns, he won't because he doesn't have a clear time. But you got to trick the guy very clear language. If you needed to go one parsa, you should tell him, I need to go to parsos. Perhaps the guy will wait from smiting him at parsa shni till the second parsa. And he will remove him before him. Das lernt man ab. This is actually what he did. He lied to him. He told him the truth. And he did that. He never went to Seir. He went to Sukkot. That's how Rashi learns in the Gemara. We see this in the actual what happened to Poel in the two stories in the Gemara. That also in the case where they asked him, Bori Hazeka, so which means that even when there becomes a definite danger, you could protect yourself by Yarchil Hadi Eitza, geholfen zu Potter for the Sakota. This advice, Yarchil is Adelach, help them to rid themselves from the danger. The Rambam holds as vibal der din sholu chulukum behemshach to the Friedrich dinim, since the din of sholu comes as a follow-up to the previous halachas. In Gemara is der von Muchel that's evident as euch der din is bedoime in sein Geder zu say. The find is like the other ones, talking about general goyim, a general danger. Even when the guy asks where you're going, that doesn't make it a certain damage. As is nor prat in them din kloli. This is just a detail, an example. The general halacha for nochrim chashudim al shvichas domim that the goyim are suspected for pouring blood. On the far lerum the Rambam, and that's why the Rambam learns as the eitzah der tzui is. Yarchim lo yasaderech kederech sheirchim Yaakov leisam. Shenemar ad ovei eladei nisira. So what is the eitzah? That you have to say, not do anything. You just Yarchim lo yasaderech, to say it's going to take time, like Yaakov did. Esav shenemar ad ovei eladei nisira. Ois breiter in the beg, to make it wider in Belchaner gate Kinal Baruch, like he goes. As I said before, nit zogen der mokum ver geht shein itzt, not to tell him the place that he's going now, but entfer as a hot abreite weg. Tell him that not now. I'm going now. I have a wide way along the wide. This way is wide. I get examined, but he's going to delay in the way. It's going to tarry on the way until you come to the place that he wants to. By saying that Vertman Potter from the Sakona Canal, you rid yourself of the danger, because, as I said before, the guy might change his mind. This is similar to what happened by Yaakov Esav, who says nit given b'shas ma'aser. Bori Hazek mitzad Esav wasn't definite damage because she's going fakerti b'shulchim, as we said before, Kinal Barucha, as it is at length. So therefore, this is similar. By just saying, delaying in that is enough to protect you and save you. And those what the Gemara brings the of the Tzei Sipurim and now. When the Gemara brings the two story, is thus the Das Rambam Adin According to Rambam's view, this is an additional halacha. Oib body has Zakov, by listing of the Gambe, when it's definite damage, like by listing of the Gambe, is the din nit yarchiv le'aderech. Then it's taken not yarchiv le'aderech. By stama machri, then a general machri. Was, by stama was shol leich and when he asks him where he's going. Shol leich and according to the Rambam, belongs to the other cases that this is not, shouldn't, doesn't make it bari haseker, just by asking him. But it's a listing and a ganvi, that's a different story. Nor as der Eid, soll ihm angeben, weiter die Mocken, wo der wohin er geht beemes. The Eid over there should tell him to a different place where he's really going. And durch them, and perhaps through that, Ula Yamtin mit sein Hezek, bis weiter die Mocken. Perhaps he will wait with the damage till he comes to the other place. When time goes, he separates itself from them. So the way the Rebbe explains that the Rambam learns that the Yarchiv Le'aderech Shalei is still part of the Chashad, the general Chashad, and therefore that only allows for Yarchiv. And the Gemara brings down the other case to tell us, but there is exceptional, more serious cases, which is when they talking about a ganve, about listim and ganve over there, you have to actually tell them of another place. Rashi, on the other hand, on the Gemara, he learns that the story of the Gemara tells us what the when you ask somebody where you're going, that makes him into a body hazeka. That's the way Rashi knows. Yudalu. There be your beprimis in yonim, explanation in the inner matter of things. Says Yedua, it is known as b'shas man lernt hareis ein inyan von a zweiten in Torah, that when you learn one thing from another thing in Torah is the bir bazeh. The explanation is that the inyan hamalamed, what teaches you is the sibah was von ihm wird nesuber v'nimshach. That is the cause. That from it becomes the result, the effect, and what nimshach does was says kumtzu in them dover anilmod, that which you come to what is being learned. So the teaching is the cause of what is being learned out. But that doesn't mean your name. It explains. Those v'sa'id b'meshach kol hazmanim v'chol haderes. The fact that a Jew, during all times and all generations, that geratvet von anochri, that is saved from a goy, that asks him, where are you going? Them was in them is faran b'pnimius, that in the inner, in this exists, that derech shehirchiv Yaakov, because over there is the way, because Yaakov was marchiv adasharove Adoni Seiro, like Yaakov did, and he said, I'll come to Adoni Seiro. That is what helps Kederach from Yaakov. That's what it was. The explanation is, those was a goy, goyishkeit, can have mashlita chas v'sholom v'chayim. The fact that a non-Jew and non-Jewishness can have a dominance, God forbid, of a Yid, is those b'shas that Yid firzach in anoifnis, when the Jew conducts himself in a way, as ein ort is in Golus by them goy, that where is his space, where is he? He's in Golus by the goy. And the river made the goy, therefore the goy thinks, as the Yid is be'emes unter sein Shlita. He thinks that he's truly under his dominance. Shas ober ayid is marchiv lo yaderech. He widens the way. Zog dem goy as ein befinden sich in Golus. His blois an obstel be'emtza derech. It's only a stop in the middle of the road. Halt mitten der Alicha von Adasher ober Adoni Seiro. He's in the middle of his road. He's going to Seir, to the Geula. He's going to the redemption. Was dann wird sein verkehrt. Then will be the opposite. Olu Mashim Barzin Lishpeitas Haresim. Not the Goyim will have dominance. He's going to Lish Haresim. V'hoisul Hashem Amlucha. Sein Gefinnes of the Golus. In Golus is the Hachone. That's the preparation. The Derech of getting to the Geula. That's the road to the redemption. And how in the Avodah from Larazain the Ma'ilam. We're in the service, the Avodah from sorting out the world. So Durchbrechen Chayshech Ha'ilam. To break through the darkness of the world from Elam Hazeh. From this world of Neir Mitzvah V'Torah to the lamp the candle of mitzvah and the light of Torah. Zugreiten the Welt zu der Geula Hasidah to prepare the world to the future redemption, to future redemption. When God would be to you for an eternal light, going to them. And the nations will go by your light, and the glory of Hashem will be revealed, and all flesh will see. So we're preparing the Hashem's mouth that's spoken. So we're here now marching to the Geula when all these, not the darkness will win, the dominance of the Goyim, that's not what's about. We're working now on changing things around to all these great revelations. Und damit beis hachana lahagula wird bottled der koyach from Goyishkeit. So when you prepare for the Geula, the power of the Goyishkeit becomes nullified. The Mela from the Goy, therefore also from the Goy, when er verliert sein Shlita auf Yidden, and he loses his dominance of a Yid. By Yidden wird am Matzav shel Menucha. It becomes a condition of rest. As noch geindig in der Aliche von derech HaGolos HaGeula. While you're still on the road of the Golus, but you're going to the Geula. Noch Eider, even before, man kommt zu der Aschalte von der Geula, even before coming to the beginning of the Geula, is Vayava Yaakov Sholem Ir Shechem. Yaakov comes whole in the city of Shechem. As our sages say, Sholem begufei b'mamoinu b'terosei. He came Sholem, that his body was healed from the struggle with the Malach, the money, that everything he gave to Esav, the money of b'terosei, and he's learning, he didn't forget anything by Lavan, as Yidden seinen Brim und Shleimim, that Yidden are healthy and whole, begufam kipshutei, in their body, literally, b'mamoinam, in their money, b'bonei chaim zein revita, children, life, and why mezaynu b'terosam, and also in the Torah, learn Torah b'menucha, learn Torah in a relaxed way, when in an eifim from sholem b'terosam, a way of being complete with Torah. The Torah is ganz, a complete Torah. Man learns, I nigla the Torah, sai pnimis Torah, the revealed part of Torah, the inner part of Torah. Shebedereinu is also with Torah Chassidus in our generation has been revealed. The teaching of Chassidus in an eifim from Torah achas, that this is Sholem b'Teiros, it's a whole Torah, it's one Torah Tmima, it's a complete Torah, Nikla and Chassidus. Thus is Memayir Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu. This hastens the coming of our righteous Mashiach when as Vert Mekuyim then be fulfilled can now Pedig Beis. As we said earlier in Pedig Beis, there Ovei al Adoni Seira. That I will come to my master to say that this was actually still going there until we get there. Became a yield when the fulfillment of the promise of Olam Hashim Bar Tzion, they will be saved. They will go up to Mount Sion, Lishpeitas Ar Esav, to judge the Mount of Esav, Ha'isov Hashem Hamlucha. The kingdom will be to Hashem B'Meheida B'Yameinu Mamish, very speedily in our days. This is B'Sichas Shabbos Parshas Vayishlach, Shabbos Parshas Vayeshev in Tovshin Mem Aleph.